On a scale of ridiculous, that is probably as ridiculous as it gets. Alright guys, happy 4th of July. I find myself at the shop. I have a 2004 Travel Supreme Select. This isn't the same one that I fixed the refrigerator on before. This is a different one that I'm working on the refrigerator. The owner, when they bought it, they had the dealer install a residential refrigerator in it, and they did not do a very good job installing it, but that's not really what the issue is. The issue is there's a water leak under the refrigerator. So I've already had to empty the refrigerator out. They were packed up for, I don't know, maybe 3 months worth of living. So I have a lot of ice chests full of food. I've already started this job. So in order to get this refrigerator out, I had to take the 2 refrigerator doors out, the freezer door assembly out, just so I can get to this point right here. Just so I can get underneath here. So now I just have to pull the refrigerator out. I have one furniture dolly underneath it because my utility lift cart's actually a little bit too tall for that. So I'm curious what I'm going to find under there. Luckily this motorhome had a water manifold that you could actually turn off the valves to the galley and the refrigerator, so they could still use their water for the past few months. So let's get this thing moved out of the way and hope for the best, right? Well, that was quite the ordeal. I don't know, let's see what's going on underneath here. That doesn't look so good, does it? Okay. Well, I'll assume that it's leaking somewhere from there. I guess I just have to turn the water on. Alright, so let's make sure the water pump's off. Go outside, turn the valves on. So just turn those back on. Just give us about a quarter turn. Turn those back on. There's that manifold right there. And those are actually the water lines going up into it. When I do turn it on, let's see, it was leaking from there down to there. Let's go turn the pump on and see what happens. Okay, so this Travel Supreme has a water manifold that takes the black key. The black key has a little bit smaller diamond on it. Water pump on. Should have some water. Let's see where we're leaking here. Right there seems to be the leak. Look at that. All that work just to tighten up that connection right there. That is kind of ridiculous. I think what I'm going to do is cut a hole in the floor right here so we can access those fittings in the future. That is just stupid. Also, I will digress at this point. This is also why I hate galley slide out. So you have a kitchen sink and plumbing in the galley. This is how your drain hose runs on almost all of these. It's made out of this flexible PVC, and it eventually kinks and this stuff cracks, and then you have a leaking drain making stinky water coming inside. And this is actually one of the harder motorhomes to actually replace that on, because I think this wall would have to be taken apart, because with this slide out in, there's still no access on the back side of this one. This is just ridiculous. So much ridiculous. Okay, into my rant. So I don't know if you guys can see back there. That's the back side of the slide out. So this part moves in and out with the slide out. So right now the slide out's out. When it comes in, this pipe moves in, everything with it. And everything, and that slide out's in the way, so I can't even really move that stuff very easily to check the slide out operation. What I do think I want to do though is this platform. I don't know if it was made or if it's got to be made by the dealership. I'm gonna have to notch this a little bit more so that that drain hose doesn't get kinked on it. It's also been crushing the pecs here. I thought this is where it was going to be split, but it wasn't split there either. So that floor is fairly hollow. This is the ceiling of the basement right there. So I think that's the best plan I can come up with. All right, well, I've just drilled 4 holes. I'm going to connect the dots with a what do you call those things? A saw? Well, it should make a nice square opening right there that I can get access to from the inside or from the basement. And anybody else could in the basement. All right, well, this has probably been leaking for a little while because this is nice and wet plywood there. So there's the other part, right? So I just have to cut that out with the razor knife, and then I'll have an access hole for the future. Next guy will be able to say, "Oh, thank you so much for whoever did that for me," and I'll say, "You are welcome." Well, we're one step closer to being done with this. I don't like the way this is getting crushed, so I need to notch that guy out a little bit right there. I'll have to make a access cover for the basement right there. But look at that. You can see his storage. And the more I think about it, this never did have a propane refrigerator to it. I don't know why they would have put a ceiling vent in there, because this is an all-electric motorhome. It has an electric stove, has an aqua hot. So it's really weird to me. It's always a mystery box with an RV. And if you are curious, that was probably just like a rat bait to keep rats out of here. Hopefully. Alright, so I did notch this out. I don't know. We'll call that about 2.5, 3 inches. And the more I think about it, the more I remember this slide out at the rear sticking out a little bit. It's almost like something was keeping it from closing all the way back here. I wonder if this was it. Anyways, back to the original one was, I'm guessing these just loosened up from going back and forth on the ground here. I zip tied those lines together. These are actually the hydronic heater, aqua hot heater to the heat exchanger in the galley slide. And that's of course the kitchen drain. And couldn't tell you, maybe dishwasher? Still have a dishwasher too. Okay, it's the middle of summer right now. When they installed this refrigerator, they didn't cap off this ceiling vent or the roof vent for the refrigerator, so heat just pours in through here. They didn't cover up any of the vent holes on this door, so it's just heat pouring in here. So I'm gonna do that too. So I do have some of this scrap high density insulation foam. I'll use this to make a sandwich of foam, a foam block to put in that ceiling vent, then I'll cap it off. Give it a little bit of insulation. It is fairly well weatherproof with the vent cap above it. I'll just use this paneling underneath to cap it off. Got those ripped down on the table saw. That cuts really nicely. It's like cutting air. I just have to cut them down to length. And I'll use my miter box here. Then I'll glue those together, make sure they fit. Alright, so I'm just going to use the Stay Put contact adhesive, and I'm just using it as a insulation block. So just like all spray adhesives, just make sure you do both sides. It'll stick a lot better. It's nice and hot, so this contact adhesive should set up pretty fast. There it is, my block of foam. Very fun. I do have a little bit of this Darko material left over. I'll try to wrap as much of the top edge that I can so that it's not exposed to any light on the outside, so it won't break down. So that was just Darko repair tape. It's what you usually use in under on the bottom of motorhomes and trailer floors. It's kind of a weatherproofing. So after my test fit, it wasn't quite wide enough, so I made it a little bit wider. So probably too wide now. Or by too wide, I mean perfect. And yes, I did flip those around the right way, I swear. So on this door, I'm gonna cap off these edge vents right here, but on the door itself, I'm gonna do something I'm not a big fan of doing, but without making a whole new door out of sheet metal and painting it to match. Just take some of this aluminum duct tape, and we're gonna put it across all these vents right here, tape it all off. That tape will let go periodically, and the owner will have to periodically replace the tape, but besides re-engineering the whole thing, that's pretty much the easiest way to go. So it's about next to impossible to try to get the tape to just stick to these little grates right here. So if you start down low, then use half the tape itself. That'll be a nice surface for the next layer's tape to stick to, and they're going to wrap over. And your last layer will have a surface to stick to here. So that's, like I said, I'm not the proudest of doing this, but actually a lot of factories end up doing this too. It's definitely better than letting a lot of hot air in. Okay, so I'll have to take this off and put the refrigerator back in. There we go. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. I just have to cap off these now. Definitely not quite so much light coming in here now. These I have to cap off. I got a piece of metal, break it, so it folds along right there to kind of seal everything off. It'll be aluminum, so it'll be a little bit more weatherproof. See if that's a good idea or not. So here's the metal I'm going to use. This is already painted. It's already got a protective covering on it to peel off. So that'll be facing out, so it'll be black. I'll cut it out, then I'll break it on my break over here. There's the sofa for my toy hauler. I should put that back in. And I swear I didn't use a table saw to cut this aluminum. But here's a little life hack I figured out. A paper cutter like this, I picked it up at Goodwill. I think it was like $6. It's really good on the sheet metal as a sheet metal shear. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's pretty good. Bends it a little bit on the end. So I'll just do one more of those, then bend this whole thing up, cut it to work. Like all my metal skills, they're really not the greatest. So I'm just gonna bend this in the break. Make sure I think I got this right. It is, I always break things the backwards because I don't think very well backwards. So just break that. And so now this should go against the wall. That should close it off from the inside or from the outside, and I'll just have to notch this area right there. So let's go see how this fits. Alright, so I just notched those out right there. And this is just gonna go right against it there. Screw in. Then that bend should clear off the rest of the seal. I'm not gonna get it perfectly weather tight and perfect. This is just to do a lot to keep down a draft. There's only so much that can be done, right? But the good news is, even with these things wide open, it's a lot cooler in here already. The bad news is, I did all this just to fix the water leak. I still have to put the refrigerator back in, put the refrigerator back together, and put all the food back in the refrigerator, clean up my mess. So I haven't even done my main job yet. This is just found work that I wasn't trying to do. All right, stop complaining. With that last screw, I have it all sealed off now. There's a little bit of light coming in around the door, but like I said, that's going to happen either way. I can show you the other side what it looks like, but like I said, that's going to happen either way. But it's definitely a lot cooler in here. Alright, I pushed that back in. Now I just have to clean up my mess here and put a refrigerator back in somehow. Seems like there's actually more of a two-man job getting this thing slid back in. I don't have anybody else here to help me right now. Okay. This should be easy, right? All I have to do is do just like that. So that was simple. I don't know why I don't do things like that more often. So everything's put back together. I did end up adding some blocks up here to keep it from tipping forward. I changed the complete way it was mounted down below. And we do have hot and cold water here now. But there's something else that's always nice. Look at that. That's also leaking. Pretty simple job, always a little bit more difficult than it ever needs to be, and 4 other things were bad at the same time. I haven't put the access plate down in that basement floor yet because I need that area to dry out, and then I want to also run the slide in and out a few times to make sure everything's going to work. So there you have it, 2004 Travel Supreme Select. It's just a little water leak under the refrigerator. What could be so difficult about that? Bye guys. So take a minute to actually kind of appreciate. I'm not a big Travel Supreme fan by any means, but their walls are made really well. There's a little bit more like Newmar where you could actually fish wires in between the walls because it's not laminated foam. It actually has fiberglass in between all these aluminum studs. Luckily they gave me a lot of aluminum studs, so it was easier to put in. A lot of motorhomes just have styrofoam right there, so I wouldn't be able to screw anything in very easily. So enough of that. Let's finish up this actual water leak repair and then get done today. Right? Alright guys, so there you have it. Another pretty simple job made difficult by life. Sorry, my hands are shaking.